All right, let's jump right into a really critical diagnostic challenge, telling the difference between meningitis and encephalitis. They can look almost identical at first, but there's one key difference in their symptoms that can send a patient down two totally different paths. Let's break it down. So picture this. A teenager walks into the ER. They've got a fever, a really bad headache. These are super common symptoms, right? Clinicians see this stuff all the time, but what you do next, in this exact moment, is absolutely crucial. It could literally change everything for that patient. And that's the thing. In this big jumble of overlapping symptoms, there's usually one single clue that points you in the right direction. If you spot it, treatment can start right away. But if you miss it, the consequences can be really, really serious. To really get a handle on this, we're going to follow the stories of two patients. They're almost identical, same age, same background, but their journeys are going to split off in completely different directions, all because of that one critical symptom. This is a perfect way to see how this works in the real world.
Okay, first up, case 1. This is a pattern that many doctors are trained to spot from a mile away.
All right, so here's our first patient. We've got a 16-year-old girl. She's had a fever for a couple of days, her head is pounding, she also has a stiff neck, feels sick, and the light really bothers her. That's photophobia. But here's the absolute key detail. Her mental status is totally fine. No confusion, she's thinking clearly.
And those first 3 symptoms, the fever, the headache, and that neck stiffness, they form what's famously known as the meningitis triad. This is a classic textbook pattern. It screams inflammation of the meninges, which are those protective layers around the brain and spinal cord.
So, you see this triad. What's the move? Well, the protocol is clear, and you have to act fast. First, you do a quick check to make sure there's no reason not to. Then, you immediately do a lumbar puncture, a spinal tap, to get a sample of that cerebrospinal fluid. And at the exact same time, you're starting broad-spectrum antibiotics, because with bacterial meningitis, every single hour, every minute counts.
Now let's switch gears and look at our second case. Another 16-year-old. Similar start, but our story is about to take a very, very different turn.
Okay, here's patient 2. Same age, she's got a fever and a headache too. But that's where the similarities end. Look at her mental status. She's confused and disoriented. She even had a seizure this morning. And maybe just as important, look what's missing. No neck stiffness. This set of symptoms points us down a totally different path. We're not thinking about the covering of the brain anymore. We're thinking about the brain tissue itself. A fever, plus that altered mental state, maybe with some seizures thrown in, that is the classic presentation for encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. So the action plan is different. You start by ordering an MRI to actually look at the brain for signs of swelling. You still need that lumbar puncture, but you also immediately start IV acyclovir. Why? Because the most common cause of deadly sporadic encephalitis is the herpes simplex virus, SHV, and acyclovir is the drug that fights it. So we've watched two very similar patients go down two completely different diagnostic roads. Let's really drill down on the one thing that made all the difference.
This slide just lays it all out nice and clear. With meningitis, the brain itself is usually functioning okay. The big screaming symptom is that neck stiffness, the sign of irritation around the brain. But with encephalitis, it's the total opposite. The main feature is abnormal brain function. That's the confusion, the personality changes, the seizures.
So the whole thing really boils down to this simple but incredibly powerful clinical rule. If that stiff neck is the most dramatic thing you're seeing, you have to think meningitis. But if the patient's confusion or change in behavior is what's really standing out, you have got to think encephalitis. And it's so important to get this. This isn't just about passing a test or some academic puzzle. For real patients, making this call correctly is everything. That choice, made in the first few hours, between starting antibiotics or starting antivirals, well, that can be the difference between a patient walking out of the hospital perfectly fine and a truly devastating outcome.